All right, everybody, welcome back to Not Your Average Gold Digger with yours truly, Dr. Marion McNabb, where we go out as recreational gold placer miners in the search of gold in the wild here in Western North Carolina. Really excited to come at you today in this episode down here at the creek at my friend's house in her backyard and in and around Asheville, North Carolina at a location not to be disclosed because, you know, we're gold diggers, we're gold miners, and we're not your average gold digger. So this episode today, we're gonna learn how to actually pan for gold, or at least how I was taught here in Western North Carolina. Now I'm down here on the creek and I have got some concentrate that I picked out today from a hike with my friend where we went to Pisgah National Forest. And it's legal to pan for gold in Pisgah National Forest if you don't use any equipment, sophisticated equipment. So all I did was went out there with a gold pan to do my test pans of where gold might be found, to take some concentrate home with me to pan on the creek at home and record this video not being out in the field. And that's a key important point. What I'm trying to do is learn how to find gold out in the wild here in Western North Carolina, how placer gold can be found in creeks and streams, on private land that I have permission, or in Pisgah National Forest where I went today. And I think for me, the time out on the creek is precious. So what I try and do, and what I've learned from several videos and what I'm going to try and implement, is preparing as much as I can at home, walking in with my pack with all the right tools that I need, doing some test pans around where I think gold might be found around a creek. Once I see some flower gold in that pan, then I know that it's worth digging and doing a little bit more sourcing around, prospecting to see if there's gold in the gravel and the silt. So today, my friend and I, we went out to Pisgah National Forest. I did that. We found a creek. We found a windy creek with a great bend in it, and picked out a spot, did a test pan, found some gold. Check out the previous video on that one. And so yeah, dug in deep, grabbed some material. So that's what we got here. And now I'm gonna teach you how to pan. All right, so panning for gold started many, many moons ago, a couple hundred years ago. But now it's commonly used gold pan like this. It's plastic. It has two types of ridges in there. And the main premise is that you want to catch the gold at the bottom. Just to remind folks, gold is 19 times heavier than water. And 19 times heavier than any of the rocks and stones in here, which you can see there's a lot of pebbles in here, right? So there's a lot of dirt and a lot of things that we're going to start to sift off. Okay, so there's a couple of motions and how I learned how to pan for gold. What I did learn is that everybody tends to pan differently. So they'll teach you differently, and you just find what kind of works for you really well and how you like to pan. So first you got to think about the basics of this. Like I said, gold is 19 times heavier than water. Gold is nearly as heavy as other things like tin or lead. It's usually the heaviest thing in the creek. And so when you're out there and when you're panning, what I've learned from the people who've taught me here in Western North Carolina is that you really, can't really be too rough with it when you're panning things out, because the gold is heavy and it's inevitably going to be sitting at the bottom of the pan if you do it right. So I went down to the creek at Pisgah National Forest, like I said, with my friend Carla, and we gathered some concentrate. I used a classifier, so I, picked some. I found a place with bedrock where I thought there might be gold that fell out, and I basically picked up some gravel, some bedrock, some decaying bedrock, and some other sort of silt mix, and ended up with this. I used a classifier first, and I ended up with smaller size pebbles, you can see. Okay, so I have learned how to pan for gold in two places in Western North Carolina, And again, I will preface this by saying I am a novice, all right? So you're following along with me. I'm not claiming to be an expert here. I'm teaching you as I'm learning the things. So if I don't do this right, please gently put in the comments some kind suggestions on how to do this better. But this is how I learned, all right? So I was in Marion, North Carolina at Lucky Strike Gold Mine, and I met an old timer, James. He's a miner. He's been mining gold for about 40 years. Very nice man. And I went the first time to Marion to learn how to pan for gold, and they sell Paydirt. So they sell you bags, $20 bags of dirt, in places that they know that there's gold in that Paydirt. So you can buy that, and then you sit. They've got a big sort of trough of water where they teach you how to pan for gold. So that's where I learned. Now, this is what James, the old-timer miner, taught me. Now, you start with just a little bit. I'm going to take my concentrate and put a little bit of water in here. So I can get it all moving here. All right, now I'm going to put just a little bit. That might be a little bit too much. I'm going to put about that much. You can see about that much concentrate in here. Now, what I was taught are there two method or steps that you have to do. First, we're going to put the concentrate in here, and the idea is that you got to rough it up. And the way that old-timer miner James taught me was, first, you got to treat that gold and that gravel rough like you would treat a man, or like a man wants to be treated, rough. You got to take that water in here and you got to shake it. You gotta shake it, because the idea is that you're gonna loosen up the gold, and you're gonna shake all these different pieces down really hard. Shake it like this. Shake it rough like a man is how he told me. And then like a man treat, how you would treat a man. Firm. And the idea again is that the gold's really heavy. It's the heaviest thing in here. It's the heaviest thing in the creek. And you're just shaking up these particles. You're breaking up the sand, you're breaking up the silt. If there's any gold mixed in there with clay or anything, you're just really trying to break it up. All right, then I'm gonna get a little bit more water. You continue to shake that up, and then you let it sit for a while. All right, then you continue to shake it up all rough like this. Now I'm gonna take you down to the creek, show you a little bit closer how you're supposed to do it actually in the water. So oh, we got some of my friend's chickens in the back. Let's see if I can get this going here. There we go. All right. So, let me fix bear with me. Got to get all ready here. Should have put my gloves on. All right, so now, like I said, the idea is that we're going to shake it real rough like a man. And then what you're looking for, let that gold, like as you're shaking it around, let that gold settle at the bottom. And then as I've let it settle, I'm gonna do like the ocean tides, put it at a 45-degree angle. And what you're doing is gently letting the water come across the top of the sediment or of the concentrate that you have. And basically it's washing the lighter rocks off the top. And a lot of people then, once you do that, stop a little bit, go back in with that shake, because what you're trying to do is let that gold sink to the bottom. It's the heaviest. You want the gold sink to the bottom, and as you're going, then you're going to start moving and tilting your gold pan so that it starts to lay down in that lip. There's ridges up here, as I showed you earlier. You want them to start to lay in those ridges. Now I've done that, I'm going back, doing this back and forth like oceans in the sand of time kind of thing. It's taking the sand off the top of, and the rocks and the other sediment that's really light. All right, now I'm gonna stop again. Got a little bit of water in there. Continue to shake that out. Be really rough with it. Again, I've seen all these videos that say don't worry about being too rough because gold's heavy. So they keep repeating that over and over. I guess that's why I am too. All right, then let it sit. Keep going back and forth. All right, now I've got most of the top off. And what we're doing is really trying to get the lighter sands off. So now I'll show you where I'm at. Now I've only got a little bit of concentrate in there, as you can see. What we're trying to do is get the lighter sands off. So the lighter colors, the tans, the browns, those are actually physically lighter, not only in color, but in weight, than black sands. And so black sands, once you start to find black sands are always identified with gold. However, you may find black sand and there may not be gold in that black sand. Part of finding gold, why it's so hard and why it's so rare, is that it is very hard to find. You have to know the locations of where it would settle out, etc. So black sand may be somewhere that's settled out, and gold may have not settled out in that black sand. However, if you don't find any black sand in your pan, it's likely that you're not going to find any gold along with it. If that makes sense. So some other signs of how you can see gold in your pan, or know that you got some heavy weights, and that means that there's a likelihood of gold being there because gold's heavy. Things like hematite. Again, quartz, you always want to know if quartz is there. Quartz is lighter, but generally quartz is associated with gold because vein forms and gold forms in quartz veins. But you'll see things, like hematite. I've seen garnets associated with gold, other tin, lead, other things that are really heavy. So anyway, now we're going back. As soon as I start seeing black sand, I'm going to switch to my stage 2. But let me keep going for now. All right, I'm starting to see a little bit of black sand. Now, if I was just sampling on the creek, I would be doing this pretty quickly, because the whole purpose of me sampling on the creek is just to really know, is there gold there? Should I be digging? Should I be doing a little bit more digging? The other thing to remember about panning on a creek, and specifically about panning on a creek where you're test panning and you're really looking for gold, is don't do this in the place where you're digging up the dirt and the silt to find gold. Because if I'm digging up right here and I want to know if I have gold, I'm dumping out all the stuff and all the work to see if there is gold right on top of the place that I'd be re-digging because there might have been gold there. Make sense? So if you're gathering dirt right here, or silt or rocks or gravel to test pan, then do your test pans over there, not in the place that might be your potential target to dig even more. All right, so let me get back to work here. All right, I'm panning this top part out. Now I've got a couple of rocks in here. Throw those out, these heavies. They do say when you're classifying and stratifying your concentrates down, to really look at those big heavies, make sure that there's no gold in them or no other, other semi-precious gemstones or anything you want to keep in there. All right, and I'm getting real close to the point where I'm going to want to do my stage 2. Remember this first part, I was told, be rough like a man. You just want to really get those top layers off. Start seeing the black sand. All right, now I'm getting there. All right. Now, I can see black sand here. I don't know if my camera, I'm gonna have to figure out how to do this, but I don't know if you can see, but right around the edges here up at the top, I got some black sand starting. Now, James, the old miner, said when you start to see the black sand, you switch to number 2. Stage number 1 was shake it, be vigorous like a man. Stage number 2 is you want to rock back and forth and be gentle like a lady. And this is where we're going to do the same motion of trying to get the top layers off, but instead of doing it rigorously and rough, we're going to be smooth and treat her like a lady. Just go back and forth and gently take the top layer off. All right, now how we're going to do that, first side, we were doing that rough side, and we were taking stuff off using the ridges. So I was going back and forth to take that hard stuff off and that top layer off with these ridges. Therefore, it would catch the heavies in these ridges, right? So now in stage 2, what we're going to do is we're going to take a little bit of water and we're going to move everything up to this side. where it doesn't have any ridges. And this is where we're gonna start to treat it like a lady, back and forth. And we're gonna start to take that top layer off of sand and anything that's lighter, so you can start to see, working out smooth like a lady. Now, I'm not going in circular motion, and this is important, just going straight up and down. Now, one key thing I want you to remember here is there's also pyrite. Pyrite is like fool's gold, which it looks like gold, and so it's called fool's gold. It's shiny. It's usually typically found in areas that's close to gold, but it's not gold, and it can fool you. However, one thing to remember is that it's very, very light. So if it's not sticking at the top of the pan when you're at this stage and it's floating around on the top, it's fool's gold. It's okay to let that go. So now I've taken this top layer off. I'm just gonna go ahead and walk that off. All right, get a little bit more water. Go back up to the top, get everything up here. Take a little bit of that water back. I'm doing the same thing. I'll walk that back, smooth like a lady. Treat that like a beautiful lady. I'm also gonna keep an eye out now for anything that I see as gold. And when I was first learning here, one, they told me not to be afraid of it being really heavy, but also you can really tell when it's gold. It's got some shine on it that you just can't really tell. So, that you just can really tell. All right, so here we go. I'm back over here. Almost at the time for the big reveal. It takes a little bit of time to do this, but I think as I practice over time, it'll get better. I've heard in one of the places that I learned, there's some old timers that go in and can in 30 seconds take an entire bag of pay dirt and pull out grams of gold. So that probably takes decades of practice, but I'm hoping to find one of those old timers to give me the rundown and how to do that real soon coming up here. So I got my name out there on a post-it note somewhere for some old timer to see. All right, so we're gonna go back. I'm already seeing some potential specks of gold in here. Yep, we got some gold, y'all. Yep, we got a little bit of flower gold. I'm gonna have to figure out how I can. Yep, but we got some black sand. We don't have too many specks. I can see some very, very fine flower gold though. Wow, that's great. Yep, that looks about one, two, three, four, 5 specks of flower gold up in there. Still needs a little bit of refining, but we've got a winner. Wow. Yep. No nuggets, but I can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 specks. How exciting. So now at this stage, I'm going to take a pipette and a snuffer bottle, and I'm going to go ahead and snuff these little guys up. And the more little specks that you get in your snuffer bottle, the more that it weighs out and the more that we find gold. So thanks for tuning in. That's the basics of how we pan for gold. And appreciate you learning alongside with me. Not your average gold digger. Yours truly, Dr. Marion McNabb. I hope you found this video to be insightful. If you did, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that bell and you'll get notified of all the new videos that are coming out. We're going to be exploring several creeks. We're going to be running a sluice. We're going to be learning all sorts of things about gemstones, placer gold mining, and how to find gold in your backyard. So sign up, subscribe, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in to Not Your Average Gold Digger with Dr. Marion McNabb. See you next time.